episode 211. Rumor has it, we are live.
Wow. That was so much better than your NPR cold open.
Shall I do that one?
Not this time. Maybe
Not now that
another
we've already started.
time, maybe.
Do you want to hear awful British voice?
I actually do.
Or should I save
want
that
to
for
hear
next week?
No, do it now, because I definitely want to hear it.
Hold on. It's so much easier when I accidentally do awful British voice and find myself... I just volunteered to do it on command, and now I might not be able to do it. Well, I'll get it later in the show, after more gin and tonic. It'll be easier then.
How many? Oh my gosh, I just...
How many other voices can I do? I also have rock radio voice.
Wow.
80s rock radio voice. You are listening to episode 211 of SonarFeed. Rumor has it, we're live.
I think I just got herpes.
Just there?
Just there.
Yeah, it's very Howard
Not
Stern,
any of
isn't it?
not any of the previous
I
times.
just read a tweet that says, Scaramouche, will you last the whole month? No. And that's wonderful. Thank
Gosh.
you. Anyway, welcome to SonarFeed episode 211. As the esteemed David said, rumor has it we're live, which is a joke about like 19 different things all at the same time, most of which are Mark. Hi, Mark. Welcome back.
How many shows have we had in the last
Mark.
6 weeks?
We've been on
Mark.
like every other week.
Summer.
Sorry, I keep going on vacation.
We're all
Well,
on
it's not that
international
bad.
break.
I mean,
We're on international
you're
break.
on vacation. Adam's got stuff to do, and I'm unavailable. You know, when you go 4 deep, kind of as we learned it right back, when you go 4 deep on technical, the show doesn't happen.
wanna
Just
take
like
a minute.
victories don't
Right.
happen when you go 4 deep. Right back.
Sounders, like all you need is 14, 15, 16 players, and you still win. So
Just to clarify, Tom is purely just the talent.
I'm just the talent. Yeah, great. Anyway, I could try and figure out this ancient technology that we're using to keep the show together. I just choose not to.
Hey, if it was ancient technology, I'd have a better chance of doing well with it.
Hey, Chris wants to
Dave,
point
you worked
out,
radio once. It was 20 years ago.
Chris
But
wants to point out nice naked face, Dave.
naked face?
Yeah,
Naked
I
Dave
shaved
face.
too
Yeah.
yesterday, so it was really confusing.
I also shaved.
Yours is different.
I must ask you when.
Seriously, what even happened to you? Like you went to Russia
What
and
kind
you
of
come back with this
vacation?
really interesting facial hair.
Did everyone think you were related to Tom Selleck or something?
No, I didn't shave this until last weekend in Chelan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I just noticed what's on your chin. Or lower lip, more accurately.
It is.
It's always been there.
Lower lip.
That used to be the only thing I could grow.
What?
Fuck off.
No one knows. Just
I'm
Just
able
go
to
with
grow
it.
a beard again. It was
Adam's
weird.
like I go for none of that. All of this.
Yeah.
My
Very
my seasonal Friday gig, which I just quit, required men to be clean shaven.
Wow. So
For like
you were,
once a week, 8 to 10 hours a day.
You were going back
Really?
in time and
Yeah.
Were you working at Disney?
You were going back in time and you
Cruise ships.
were a bat boy for the Yankees
Yeah.
during the Steinbrenner era.
Yeah. They finally got rid of that, right? Like
I think so. Although I think the Steinbrenner kids still think they can
now it's like
employ it.
neatly trimmed
Yeah,
rather
some
than clean
dumb
shaven.
crap like that. But anyway,
Remember when they made Randy Johnson cut his hair?
I do remember that.
That was awful.
Hey, a bird friend.
And then
So anyway,
Is
so
it?
we're back
Does it
in
have
the
wings of
winter,
a sparrow?
After being off for a week,
The Berliner Pub,
Berliner Pub,
just off of 3rd and Main,
Renton.
ahead of the
yes,
curve.
we're sitting outside,
And-
even though
So we're sitting outside. It's actually a very nice night.
is.
And it may be that we've all mentally prepared for the rest of the week, at which time it's going to be potentially triple digits. But the Berliner Pub has fixed up its nifty air conditioning.
yes,
And it's actually doing pretty well
Yeah.
inside.
Yeah, they
So-
added cubic footage.
Yeah, so they've tightened
their
up
unit.
a few things, and if you're in the bar, apparently ice forms on you and your cocktails. So don't leave them. It's kind of like that Maui brewing where they just have the rail of ice. It's like that, except it's at the Berliner. So anyway, so shout out to the
Awesome.
Berliner because it's been a little toasty inside the last few weeks.
months. Yeah.
So anyway, so that'll be awesome for us when we decide to not be outside. But we've been
Like,
enjoying
if
it.
next week it's 90,
We'll probably be inside.
yeah, we'll do the show inside. We're working on a guest
so-
next week. You should. I have a soft lock on next week's guests, and you guys, you listeners, should plan on being here for the soft lock.
We highly suggest that you attend in person next week.
Oh, there you
Me?
Yes.
Definitely you.
It'll be a first for Mark.
Definitely,
I'll be here.
definitely, Adam.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, so we think that that's going to be exciting. We'll have more news in a day or two, couple days-ish.
I was expecting that we could announce it tonight.
So maybe we'll know before we leave here
Like,
tonight. You never know.
I have texted the
Individual.
So anyway, so we're going to have some cool things next week. Definitely very soccer scene. It will be exciting. And then are we still working on the following week, too?
we've got a commitment in the month of August to have Real Doc Fake Name here, who is the Sounder Art medical expert. You, the only way you'll know who he is if you come to the show,
Which is
because we are going to not share his face on the video.
we're going to put a bag over his head,
Yeah.
and he's going to just... We're going to
And
do that like Tony the Tiger.
So he's a
campaign
Browns fan?
From the 80s. Wow.
Oh.
Or a Saints fan, or like 3 or 4 other groups that have done that since then.
Well, I'll just put we can just put the
Aints.
orange lights behind him,
That's a good idea.
right?
The
Shining right into
yeah,
the
Adam and I
Till
will
the
talk
lights go
about
out.
how to do that.
Yeah,
but
well-
that's an August commit, and we have a before the season is over commitment to Matt Stretch Johnson, my
Nice.
former coworker at KJR.
Nice.
Most people in the soccer community don't know him as Stretch, but I worked with him at KJR, and that was his only nickname. He's your radio play-by-play guy.
and we'll have to have him tell us why. That is his
And-
nickname.
The wonderful Taylor Graham has said that he would also get on the show with us.
So
Oh, that's
basically,
we've had
August
some-
is
we've had some, and it
August
may not
is
be in
lit.
August because
Yeah.
his wife's just about to give birth to twins,
And he-
that's
Bring
a
'em,
little
it's all
bit-
ages.
That's a little bit touch and go right now. So unfortunately, he wasn't able to be here tonight for some other commitments. But he's like, "Yep, I'm probably gonna try and take some time off." But once that's done, he wanted to come on the show as well. So we've got some cool names.
yeah.
coming
We're going
up.
to enter the guest phase
Right.
of Sonar
We're gonna go
Feed.
back to the guest phase.
We go through like 6
A
weeks
dry
on,
spell.
6 week off.
There you
then
go.
16 weeks off.
So anyway,
you know,
so gonna
whatever.
be pretty exciting. August, September-ish. I think we're gonna have some good times. Mark may actually make it to many of those shows as well. So
Well, one of them I know you. Well, we don't do a show on a holiday, so it doesn't matter.
yeah, it'll be Labor Day. We won't have a show.
We'll be somewhere.
Yeah, we'll be sunny. Anyway,
Well, it'll probably be sunny here too.
so it probably will be like 256 degrees. So let's talk about the week that was. We weren't here last week after 2 fascinating victories.
Oh, that's right. So we've got
So we got
2
3
wins and a
games we can talk
draw
about.
in Sounders land,
Yep.
plus a Gold Cup victory where Sounders were key players.
Yep. So we can talk about a few different things. So
Yeah.
I think we need to talk about 4-3 victories that
Yes.
happen on weeknights.
We like.
Oh, dude. So I was in Myrtle Beach for that. And it was the first time that I'd used MLS Live on my phone because normally I'll just cast it onto a TV and everything. But when you're on vacation on the East Coast, you might use your phone. And so I'm literally lying in bed, sound off, watching, holding the phone up, watching everything, particularly the second half because we'd had a few beverages and we're playing games and everything. So it's like midnight. Wife's trying to sleep, so I have everything on silent, and I'm watching this all happen. And essentially, I don't go to bed till like 2 a.m. because I'm like screaming, except I can't scream because
You're screaming in your head.
Yeah, the whole place, like the whole house,
Neighborhood.
is my family.
Yeah.
And they're old, all of them. So that was such a fun way to notice history because, on a historical game to have, stuff like that, it's kind of just pile on some oddities upon oddities.
Chris would like to know what you were wearing
Yeah, what were you wearing, Dave?
as you were watching.
What scarf?
But you have to say it in the, what's it called? The, is it 2001?
Yeah. What are you wearing, Dave?
What are you
Hal?
wearing, Dave?
So I did keep a Sounder Heart T-shirt on for the game because that is my tradition. In this case, it was the map of the state of Washington that says this is our sound. Yeah, that's
Okay.
enough detail. Yeah, literally.
We'll just stop there. Literally. No. Okay.
When he says
so-
that's enough detail, he means that was pretty much it.
So you were in Myrtle Beach.
You guys were at the game.
We were at the
Yes.
game. And it's one of those weeknights. You're like, yeah, hopefully the game will go well. And maybe I'll go to Temple and have like a cocktail and like game plan to go home.
That's what I always
By the
do.
time you get there, it's like 10.
You had the
And
one drink
then-
plan.
I had the one drink plan
Right.
legit because I had a lot to do the next day.
And then
all of a
How'd that work
sudden-
out?
That did not work out at all. So that was not a good first half. I think it was like 78% possession for the Sounders, and it was like 3-0 DC. And it was 3-0 DC without Nagel and a number of other
The
players.
half ended 2-0.
2-0.
That's
Yeah.
right. Okay.
They had
so, it's so funny 'cause
50th
in my
minute?
head,
50th,
it
yeah.
feels like it just ended at 3.
Right.
But like you went into halftime and it was just like, okay, you're sticking this out. It is what it is. It's 2-0. Okay. Whatever.
Right.
2-0 is not ever insurmountable. The third goal, the most fun part about it was one of the drummers in the ECS section starts doing the "We're Gonna Win 4-3" song.
Right.
And we all turn around and look at him and we're like, we're in for 90 minutes. Might as well sing along. Then they score. And the whole place is like, oh. And that obviously continued. But in a weird way, I saw less people leave at 2 and at 3 down than I expected to, given how some of the stuff this season has gone and the fact that it was a weeknight.
Well, since they'd already come back from
Yeah,
a 3.
I-
3
Like,
3-0.
like,
Right.
okay.
I remember from writing up that one
Yeah.
that it only happened 10 times in league history to come back from 3 down to gain a point. And that included playoffs
Right.
where it had some time. And
So,
so
wait, say that again. It's only happened
They
10
had
times.
drawn.
at the New England,
Okay.
the
Yeah.
New England comeback,
Yes.
it had only happened 10 times. This year was the second year where it had happened twice in a year because Montreal had done it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
But
and then
I just didn't see as much, and again, in the South End, you get a pretty good view of just being able to watch people
Flags.
walk out.
Right.
flex. You get a view of flex.
I didn't see as many people leave for a weeknight as I might have
I
expected.
think on a weeknight, though, you get people who are committed.
They had a lot of people there for that game, though. And part of that's just how the scheduling worked out, and people are hungry to watch and, whatever. But, again, we've all been to a Seattle game or two for a Seattle team or two that, like, it's not that late in the game, and people are like, later.
Don't we?
I gotta-
Don't we still have like 18 home games?
Yeah. So,
9?
anyway.
In reality, I believe, or 9? Yeah.
Something like
Still
that.
home
yeah.
heavy.
So 18 divided by 2.
So, the first goal happens, and I genuinely feel like people were like, "We got this."
When did you think it was probable that they would take a point? Was it the first goal?
The first goal,
Yeah.
I think you felt,
There was a build-up
The-
up to that first goal.
but yeah, and there was, you get that weird chillsy thing. Like that's a thing. I don't care what anybody says. Like there's something to that. It's like the chemicals in the stadium changed.
It was the
I think
chemtrails.
that first goal, I think you were like, we get a point out of this. Hell, you could lose 4-3, but you'd be like, put up 3 goals.
Gave it, yeah.
Like it felt like they were not going to give up. And frankly, that end of the stadium has felt so good this season that you're like,
it's
they
not
got
just this season.
Well, no, I
DMP
know, I
at
saw
Sounder
it.
Heart.
Yeah. I saw it,
Literally
but
the South End
it's
is
just felt good.
a blessing.
For as like up and down as a season as it's been, you just kind of were like, okay, you can get into this. Second goal happened, and that's when I think you started to see it everywhere.
That's where I became a believer that they'd get at least a
second
point. Was the second goal, Brad?
Yeah, it was funny because we had one person main stand capo the first half and a different one in the second, and they were both good. The section was good for the whole game up to that point, but you could see, like, once it starts getting going, it's like the gambler at the table who's rolling, like everybody starts to show up and get into it. Yeah, and like that's what happened. It's like everybody felt good the whole time, down goals or not, and then all of a sudden it was like hockey stick.
He's on a heater.
Literally, like that's what it felt like. So it was really interesting to see. And it's funny because I do know a couple of people who did leave, but two of them are people who've left multiple games, and the Sounders have drawn or won those games.
So keep leaving.
Yeah, I know.
Two of my my seatmates left the New England game and missed that comeback.
Yeah.
And now they're like,
they're just okay with it.
No,
I actually have. I don't know if it's the same person, but same thing. Another friend of mine left at the half.
If it's a person who's in 121 usually.
And then left at the half of the next game.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's the same person.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Amazing.
It was awesome to see, not just because they won, but because I think there's just been so much, not drama even, like stress about every little thing about Sounders. I mean, we've had this conversation 60 times this season.
This is the actual roller coaster season. Last year was not a roller coaster. No. It was basically a water slide. We went all the way down, and then we kind of popped up at the end, and yay!
There was a moment.
This year it's wild.
There was a moment during the second half.
It's wild, y'all.
Where
I must ask you.
I heard the stadium over the capo, which doesn't happen too regularly. And it wasn't even just after a goal or whatever.
Yeah,
it was just a general roar going in the middle of the game, like excitement.
Yeah.
Over the speakers, over the capo speakers.
And maybe that's where the benefit, as much as again we were all got to, and some of it's just for show fun, but be a little doom and gloom at moments for 3, 4, 5 months. That's maybe where you get after having last season, is that people are like, who cares about this? We won MLS Cup last season. You could be down 3 goals. Who cares? Which is just a different thing, especially from a Seattle sports fan standpoint.
Yeah, I just wrote that I wanted 5.
We did call for 5.
Yeah.
It didn't happen. But I think everyone was kind of okay with 4-3.
Kind of.
Yeah, Sebastian Letou, not okay with 4-3.
I know. I loved Letou and Lamar.
Dude, Nagel spent a lot of time in the south end of the stadium.
Not just with the fans, but with their former teammates and just reconnecting. Like, it's clear they both miss it. And I advocated both of them
for DC.
As like a low budget, like 18th man kind of move, because they can push an Adekoya, Kovar, Wingo to be Mansoret to be just a tiny bit better. And I'm talking about the 18th man on the bench, because they're the 14th and 15th guys for DC
18?
now. We're pretty close.
18 on the bench or 18 total?
So I have to ask you, Tom, since you're the planner and the show maestro now, can we talk? How long are we talking about 4-3? Because we have 2.
We're going to move on right now.
Okay.
Segue. Good job.
This seems like a good time for a giant cucumber or zucchini.
Giant zucchini?
Zakwani. Whoa.
So
Was that a Freudian slip?
We interrupt this program for zucchini.
Giant zucchini, brought to you by Farmland. So at work today, I secured this giant zucchini, and I realized that I'm gonna have so much zucchini pasta and zucchini bread. It's not even gonna be funny.
When am I coming over?
I don't know. Whenever.
Okay.
You practically
it's
live there
actually
already.
That big, that's just crazy
true.
town. It's actually on video. You look just as overwhelmed as you did when you walked.
When I said Zakawani.
Also, we will just leave it alone. So, which thing do you want to talk about next? Because there were a number of things
What
in
happened
that
next?
3 to 5 day period.
We had a Christian roll down start in the Gold Cup. We had
a
Clint Dempsey going to the Gold Cup.
We had a 3-0
We had
San Jose Earthquakes, man.
we had the depth of the roster be like, I know you all doubt us because, well, we lost 3 games in a row on the road, but we're about to kick ass again.
Yep.
And then they did.
And here we are.
And it was so good. It was so good because it was a reminder to everybody that doubts, well, they don't really have depth. I think that's a misunderstanding of what depth is in MLS, because depth in MLS isn't such that you're going to win every game when you don't have starters. Depth in MLS is you're going to get away with it a couple games in a month, not 5 straight games. Like that road losing streak was 4 straight games, 1 at home, where they had 4, 5, and they had ideal starter at left back, 4th and 5th and 6th, basically, for the other spots, and they lost 3 of those 4 starts.
Yeah.
But when you sprinkle in depth players and you do it for like 1 game rather than every game, this roster has it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
and Kelvin at home.
Yeah, I actually
Starting.
spent multiple
Scoring.
bits of time on that. Will Bruin, like, we talked about him a couple times already this season, but it just keeps happening. Okay. I genuinely say I don't think I expected a really good amount of play out of him. I don't think I expected 7 goals.
It's going to probably be his second best season.
Yeah, would you have said you expected his second best season coming off the bench? I don't know if I'd say that.
Yeah, but I also didn't expect him to start more than
This
half
many
of his games.
Right. But
And
it almost feels like at the point when I felt most flustered by the roster, it feels like we sort of taken the turn, in the last month.
hey, you want some insight from an interview that I never actually used for content, whether on podcast or anywhere?
Yes, Dave.
About 6 weeks ago, I talked to Dave Tenney, the maestro of science and sports, over with the Sounders, and I'm like, when is the team going to catch up and be as fit as you would expect them if they hadn't won MLS Cup? And he said, the Gold Cup break.
But
Except for the guys that
Dave Tenney accent, though.
Which is kind of Australianish, only because he talks to so many Australians about Australia and the Netherlands are essentially the leaders in sports science when you break it down by nations, and they all come here to listen to him.
I could see that
every year.
I follow him on the Twitters.
Yeah,
So
if you follow him on the Twitter,
Yeah,
you understand it's
yeah.
Aussies and Netherlanders.
And if you haven't spoken to Dave Tenney, I highly recommend you do so.
he is you're like, oh, you're a trainer, and it's like, no, that man's a scientist,
Yeah.
and
He's
he is
serious,
big into data presentation, and you take Tufty and Neil Tyson DeGrassi and some guy from The Biggest Loser and throw them all together, and you have Dave Tenney.
Just
We're quoting you on that.
Some guy
Mark
from The
that
Biggest
moment down.
Loser.
I don't have Jillian.
I don't know anybody from The Biggest Loser.
Jillian
Maybe
Barber.
Bob.
Yeah, Jillian Barbary.
No, that's
No, Jillian-
a different person.
I don't remember her name. I haven't watched The Biggest Loser in a while.
Michaels.
Jillian Michaels,
Yeah.
Neil Tyson DeGrassi, and Edward Tufty. Throw them all together. It's Dave Tenney.
Jillian Barbary was the Fox baseball analyst.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I think she had been married to Brett Barbary. if I
Yeah.
remember
So
correctly.
to get back to Dave
Terrible
Tenney,
middle
and
infielder.
he had said to me, they're going to be on their normal fitness program, except for the people that leave for every game of the Gold Cup after the Gold Cup break. And thinking about that after the 4-3 win and then the 3-0 win, you saw a team that was no longer exhausted,
Yeah.
and they did it.
Yeah. No, that's a really good way to put it, too.
And then their third game in 10 days was at LA, where there was a little bit of lack of energy, I think, in that game.
Yeah, I mean, you ended up with, what was that, Saturday? With all the narratives ever.
So good.
In that game. Aside from just LA having a minute, on Thursday and Friday. I think you had a lot going on. It's like MLS gonna MLS moment. You have players coming back. It's the first time in a while that I remember looking at the lineup and being like, oh, look, Morris is on the bench, and I'm super okay with it.
Well, I mean, he played 6 games in the Gold Cup over like a 2-week
and he's
stretch.
Swole,
and
as the internet might say.
You could make the claim that he was more deserving of the player of the tournament than Michael Bradley. But Michael Bradley was the captain on the winning team,
right.
And I don't think if Morris had won the Golden Boot, like if he had one more goal, he probably gets the player of the tournament.
Yeah. So let's derail. Let's talk. I want to talk about Saturday again in a minute, but let's talk about Gold Cup. So USA takes the Gold Cup. Whole lot of Sounders playing in some games there.
How about Bruce Arena invites the 6 guys that he cut to come back for the Gold Cup final, and the only one that finds his way there is Jordan Morris's best friend, Christian Roldan.
It's a great narrative.
Like, it's so good. Did you see who got the exclusive interview with him about how he felt from that?
Who got the exclusive
We
interview,
published it
Dave?
up at Sounder at Heart. It was Brett.
We know her.
No kidding.
Yeah. And that was a day where she's like, should I go to practice? I'm totally going to, this is awesome. Should I go to practice, Dave? I'm like, yeah, you should go. What will you be doing? I'll be working. Oh, who should I talk to? Christian Roldan. I told the team to expect it. And she did. It's a great write-up and it's a great interview, and I think he gave some information that he hadn't given immediately post-game to the national people that were there. That it was pretty awesome. So, yeah, really stoked about what Brett did and Christian's willingness to do that one-on-one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's just be clear. They're pretty all in right now, especially those two, Jordan and Christian. And this is where we can talk about maybe transition from here into
Or Herc. Herc's first
Wow.
question to Jordan.
Yeah.
In the mix zone. Do you miss? And Jordan interrupts him. Christian, right?
Oh. Well, and he obviously has inside knowledge on that particular topic, but the did you almost drop the zucchini over there?
No, but his mic fell.
Jordan Morris this, Jordan Morris that. The Roldan.
Brendan.
How fantastic was that? I don't even know where to start because it's everywhere, and then all of a sudden the hashtag is everywhere, and then people are like, we're going to make 2 polls. That caught on in about 8 minutes.
That one of the fan 11 was able to convince him to do that was so good.
Brendan's in the chat.
Is he there today?
Yeah. Brendan's in the chat.
Hi, Brendan.
There are multiple JMTs being mentioned.
It was so good.
So shout out to BM Vaughn for doing multiple things. Got that clip, bumped into Cosmo again.
It's called soccer.
And the joke there was a year ago at the faded U.S. Open Cup, and faded, not faded, unfortunately for most of us.
Man, I'm faded.
The faded U.S. Open Cup match that we played on a field that I think every field I played on in my formative years was better than this field. And Brendan got Cosmo to buy him a taco at U.S. Open Cup, and we were like, we have 11 of us right here. We need 11 tacos, and he's like, no. And then he laughed, and he comes back and gave Brendan a taco. So they took a reunion photo, which was fairly amusing. So
By the way,
Brendan
for
is
all
over the things.
Cosmo is such a great mascot, and it's not that I love mascots, but the way they
It's very
use
well
him
done.
is very well
I agree.
done. The trolling at the friendlies, it's called soccer.
Yeah.
And the interaction that they did, that Cosmo and RSL's Lion, Leo the Lion did about the soccer thing. and bringing that out continually is so, and like the taco thing, they're using a mascot as well as a mascot has been used in sports in ages.
I would agree. And having seen, frankly, the Philly Fanatic and a couple of others like in person 20 plus years ago, it's really hard to do now. Like people's, I don't know, interest in a lot of it has very much waned, or it just got so trite that it went away. And I think it's really hard to do it well. And like, you want to embrace your local fans, you want to troll the opposition and not make it annoying. And I know, like, from a hockey perspective, we always used to chase the New Jersey Devil around, and it was just so, like, you couldn't get near it. There's always the person, like, holding its tail. Like, it was just, like, a mascot for the sake of having a mascot, whereas Cosmo's kind of all in it. Like, not really walking around with a handler the whole time, just doing its own thing. And it is well done. As much as I hate to give them credit for anything in Los Angeles, I think they found something that works.
It's good because they're about to get crushed by
they're going to
LAFC.
get whomped on. So, on that note, so let's
The other thing that happened in LA last week.
So a year and a day, is that what it was? A year and a day after Ziggy departed
Yeah.
Is that really what it
Soundersland?
was?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I knew it was a year, but I wasn't sure. Like, it was it 2 days? Was it whatever? A year and a day later, takes this job at the Galaxy, and a few of us ECS folks, we were talking about it. And I'm like, was that a contract thing? Is there like? It just is funny, and it was against the Galaxy too. So Schmetzer's
First game was the Galaxy.
First game was the Galaxy with Nico last year, and this time around it's kind of them playing each other again. Just kind of interesting thing. And as much as I saw that and I was like, wow, is this MLS narrating, whatever you want to say? But I actually think that they got wind of the Bob Bradley news and pulled the trigger on this, or the other way around. They are going to fight tooth and nail for attention in Los Angeles and beyond from now on.
You essentially have LA has 3 Hall of Fame coaches.
Yeah.
'Cause Bruce Arena still lives there.
Yeah.
Oh, and Jurgen still lives in LA too. Like, that's a hell of a amount of coaches and coaching quality in that market. So, yeah, I think that one of the LAs found out about the other's announcement.
That's what it felt
and
like to
said,
me,
we're
'cause it was too
advancing this story.
But man, like,
That they both happened within like 90 minutes.
yeah, it felt absolutely like that. And maybe they were both coming out on the same day, but it really felt like when you see companies,
You bump it
put out
up
a press
24
release,
hours.
and then someone else is like, I have that too. And in LA's very much.
Wasn't
that
it
way.
a Friday anyway?
It was Thursday.
No, it was a Thursday.
Was it Thursday? I was
like-
on vacation.
Yeah.
But that's how movies work too. So when you had, what was it, like Volcano and like Dante's Peak, like one studio finds out that the others have a movie, and they're like, we're gonna make that movie too, which is why you see so many similar concept movies.
Armageddon, and what was the other?
There was something else, and
There was the other
there was
asteroid
Gerard
crashes
Butler
into the
one
planet.
the other year, where it was like people raiding the White House,
Yeah.
and he's like the Secret Service agent, and there was like the knockoff version of that.
Yeah.
So it's very much in the mentality of the business culture there, and that felt. I mean, LAFC, we knew they were going to be gunning. They just are, but like it's now happening. Like every day from now on, and they're going to have the Olympics there in 11 years.
2028, yeah.
Like, hey, what were you doing that? Like, no.
Why?
But whatever.
I mean,
They're going to have a cool place to play some soccer.
Deep
a lot of
Impact,
them.
by the way.
deep impact in Armageddon.
Go.
It was
Yeah.
Emily.
Good call.
Yeah.
Emily.
Thanks, Emily. That was so bad.
She designed a kick-ass T-shirt for me.
Emily?
Yeah, the Leviathan.
It's good.
Strong recommend.
We had a question here. Do you think Brad will go to LA
No.
Galaxy?
No.
I don't think so either.
Do you think Brad will stay?
Yes.
I think now he will.
Stay through the rest of this year or next year as well?
Oh, the rest of this year, I had no doubt.
Yeah.
Do you think
Right
he's
now,
back
I think
next
Brad
year?
stays next year. And I was a person who thought he was gone after MLS Cup. For some reason, I feel like now he will.
Okay.
I feel like the Leardom thing is one thing. I think Nuhu is another thing. I think it's different from like a Jones.
Well, what's
Leardom
when the trio is essentially now Nuhu, Leardom, Evans.
Yeah.
Like he can look at that and know,
Yeah.
okay, I'm getting 25 starts again.
Yeah. You know, it's like between injuries and other random things that are going to happen to a team in any given season, he's playing. At least right now. I mean, you never know.
And these days, a $300,000 player is, particularly if you have a homegrown starting, and if Nuhu is starting at like his $60,000, you can have you can have several $300,000 players on the bench, which is what it looks like because Victor Rodriguez is going to be on the bench and.
Who's that, Dave?
Will Bruin might be on the bench. Victor Rodriguez is almost certainly to be signed because he's already at Starfire.
So do we want to be done talking about the weeks that were? Are we good?
The LA result was 0-0.
0-0.
And moved Seattle up to 5th.
We'll take it.
Are we tied in points for 5th?
Tied in points for 4th.
For
With
4th.
Portland.
With Portland.
Yeah.
Goal differential. No, goals for is where they beat us on the tiebreaker. Tied on points, tied on wins, tied on goal differential, I believe even. No. Tied on wins. Goals for is the next
Sounders
break.
have a positive GD now, don't they?
Yeah.
1, back to 1. Yeah.
Yay.
But when it didn't look good for a minute there. So anyway, okay. So
We're going to Rumors
let's go
Land?
right into this. So Rumor guy on the Sounders Instagram account in Sounders gear without a number.
That's Victor Rodriguez.
What's he play?
He is a rotational winger for bad La Liga teams.
So
the last 3 teams,
Rotisserie
Marco
chicken
Papa?
wings.
I guess I haven't watched him
But from
play.
Catalonia?
Papa is from the description of their play, he is not Papa because Papa's a pretty good dribbler. He's more of a passer, mover, scorer type than a dribbler. The reports I've seen from people who followed him last year were that he can't dribble well. But
different thing.
that's fine. He's basically the rotational La Liga Nagel.
Okay.
So
Well, Nagel, who made a significant chunk of
again,
career out of I'm the guy no one pays attention to, and then Oba and Dempsey just do stuff, and then I end up with the ball.
this is
Nagel.
he's basically 50-50 starts and sub appearances a year, and the last 3 teams he's been on have been relegated.
Okay. Which
Makes him
past performance is not indicative of future results.
Thanks, Dave.
He's a mutual fund.
They got him for TAM money. I'm expecting not a lot of targeted
And a
allocation
free.
money
On a
on it.
free,
He's a
right.
free, so no.
Was it Guillaume? Is that where he is?
Guillaume was his
Yeah.
last one, and
Which is like Dijon, but with a G.
yes.
Okay.
So don't know a lot about him. Looking forward to. I don't know when I'm going to go to practice again because I have a job. Sorry.
Whoa.
We'll get to that in the personal accounts portion of the show.
Mark's excited for that part of the show. Anyway,
So a valuable asset to add. Look for him to make an impact similar to Ivanchit's 2015, where it was like, yeah, he's pretty good, but he's not a game changer.
but like fast, slow, average, do we not know?
Speed, he's reportedly fast, but I must note that in La Liga isn't necessarily known for their athleticism.
Yeah.
They're more known for his technical ability, and his technical ability is below par
Right.
for that league, but he can threaten goal a
Still
little
probably
bit.
better than a lot of players in MLS, though.
It means good news is they're likely to get consistent performance from him. Bad news is you're going to see less of Aaron Kovar, Henry Wingo, Shea Adekoya, Victor Mansoure.
And I would say of those, I'm most
Kovar is the one
concerned
that's
about Kovar.
most likely to impact your result.
Right. Okay. Do you think there's another big move, or do you think this is it and they feel good?
My understanding is they have room to make another move.
Right.
that their primary target is Darlis Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Darlis, one of those two. I've seen it both ways.
Derelict.
Der or Dar.
You are derelict.
There might be a backup plan we don't know about yet. The interesting thing is they would have to add an international slot to make
Apparently, we have
that
enough
move.
TAM, GAM, other fake money to
Yeah.
do that.
Or a player that's
Yeah,
been
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
nudged out a little bit. There are a few of those that that you could trade for an international slot as
Yeah.
well.
Okay.
So 1, 2. Okay, we got
So-
2 more guys to talk about.
Leardom.
Oh, we got 3 more guys to talk about.
So, Leardom, match 1, when he subbed in, made an immediate difference
That was the DC game.
on throw-ins.
Oh,
And that was
yeah.
something. That was something where, like, it's not just been Brad. There are other players that have a decent throw-in, but Brad's the guy who kind of is like, no,
There's-
keep going.
Only really been 3 long throwers on this team to this point. Brad
Yeah.
Evans,
Right.
Aaron Kovar,
Yep.
and Zach Scott.
Right.
You don't use Zach Scott because he's a better header.
Yep.
You often don't use Brad Evans because he's a better header.
I think
Right.
they don't use Zach Scott because he
well,
retired.
now this year,
Now.
yes.
No, but I would say this season, between Brad being out or Kovar being out, like we haven't really had that in the game plan, whereas for years and years, we have with Brad or other players, mix and match. So it's something you almost like forgot was an option. This guy's, like, match 1 is waving people. And after the first 2, everybody in the section is like, oh. And then this week, he starts the match, and we go straight to the...
Everything's a set piece.
on the throw-in.
It's a corner.
And there was one where, I forget who was on the sideline, he waved them off and walked up and took the throw.
He and Brad still have some discussion over who's supposed to
Which
take
is
that
fine.
throw when they're both on the field.
But it was really funny to see him, like, new guy. He's like, I got this. And not only are they on target, obviously, they got some backspin.
We scored off them, too.
But they all just, even the ones that don't go in,
Right.
look really good. And the players notice it. And that's, it's one thing when, like, you have a guy who can toss in
Well-
crosses all day that are beautiful and nothing ever gets done. This is something where it looks like the players are already so aware that it's now part of the arsenal that it changes what they do on those throw-ins. And that's super, super cool to see.
on the short, because they prep for the short ball as well.
Yep.
So what they can do is they can have Ladero go short. They can have Evans in that cleanup spot. They can have a center back forward, which they've started to do. Dempsey in a cleanup role. Christian in his uber aggressive. What's interesting is that's not even a year old as part of his game. It happened last winter when his coach was like, we have no one else that can do throws. Can you try? And he's like, and so then I tried, and it was good.
Yeah.
And so it became my thing, and I started to practice it too. It's not even a year into his game, and he's like, I'm 28, and I'm just going to add this game-changing
Here it is.
aspect to my repertoire.
So crazy. So, Hunch Punch in the chat is like throw-ins are overrated. He was on Mark and I. He was on
Caleb Porter.
our pub league team this season. And he was the guy who was like, if you're in the final third, which in a pub league field is like here to the other end of this bar right here, he's the guy that the teams were like, yeah, just everyone's going to the box, defend everything.
Oh, you had one.
So he's talking smack, but he's the person in the league that was just dangerous from anywhere in that final third. So anyway, that's been a really cool thing to see. And even if the guy didn't do anything else from a footwork perspective, which he does, to the point where there were a couple of moments where you saw him, and again, he's been practicing with the team, so that's one thing, but like getting out on the field, and there were a couple of points where he made a couple of moves on a sideline, and you could see, like, on his face, like, watching the replay, that he's like, oh, I can get away with that here? Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
And it's fun to see, like, players have that, like, click in their head. But the throw-in thing, I will say, that's a weapon. Like, it's not just an asset. Like, that's a legit weapon right now for Sounders, and that's super cool. So, Dave, you you had a couple other players you wanted to talk about. Or a few other players.
One more Leardom note
Yes.
is I asked him about. He's like, getting used to the league. That's not something that he's worried about. He's more worried about getting used to travel. I talked to him extensively. Like, he gave me like 6 minutes last week, because last week, once I knew I got hired, I'm like, I want awesome one-on-ones.
Do all the interviews.
Yeah. So I'm like, can I get Kelvin? And they're like, yeah, sure. So I talked to him for a minute. And one of my favorite things he said was, I'm really concerned about the travel. Matt Miazga, who used to be with Red Bull, purchased by Chelsea, and then loaned to the same team that Leardom played on, told him the travel is drastically different. This is a guy who the only time he's flown on a plane to go to a game is for the Euros.
Right.
Or not for the Euros, for Europa League.
Yeah.
Sorry. And so now he's like,
Oh.
everything but Portland and Vancouver is a plane ride. Okay. So he was warned about that, and so he's trying to get used to that. And then the other thing, I just wanted to check, because you don't really know this with a European player. I'm like, how many languages do you know? And he goes, just Dutch and English, but I'm going to learn Spanish. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of the second language of soccer here. He goes, not just soccer. It's, to my understanding, basically the second language of America. And I'm like,
Did
you have a very good understanding.
Totally high-fived
I'm like,
right there.
you have a very good understanding of.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So he's already asked the team to hook him up with Spanish language instructions.
Nice.
And for me, that bodes so well, because getting those players, it's not that there's a divide in the locker room, but there's native speakers of a language and non-native speakers of a language, and it helps. You know, Clint knows a little bit, particularly of the trash talk variety of Spanish.
I'm shocked by
Christian, obviously fully fluent. Ozzy is not fluent in English, but functionally fluent in English now. But when he first got here, he was very much cliquish and didn't go outside of that clique. So to see Kelvin be like, I'm here 3 weeks and I need to learn Spanish.
That's super cool.
I'm really excited about that. So that's
a really good anecdote.
Yeah.
Use it again.
Okay.
Not on the show, but just kidding.
Just rewind a little bit and tell it once more time.
No.
Or I can plug my other podcast. You listen to that, you would have already known.
That's a good story. So Leardom.
That's it for Leardom. So
Big
we've
fans.
done Victor Rodriguez. We've done Kelvin Leardom. We did a little bit of Darlise.
By the way, I'm pushing for Poindexter's Hot, Hot, Hot
Hot.
as a goal song for Leardom. Kelvin is Hot, Hot, Hot.
But he's
You'll be
cold.
here all week.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He's ice cold. He's cold as ice.
Is willing to sacrifice.
See, that one actually works for Kelvin.
Kelvin is hot, too.
So we've got two other things to address. Let's get the really minor one out of the way first. Ismael Diaz, a Porto reservist, has his agent saying there are multiple MLS teams in the hunt. Generally, I'm not certain it's his agent, but it's his agent. When you see that the multiple MLS teams are interested, it almost certainly means that neither of them are interested, and it's a agent-created rumor to increase value. But this one has a couple reasons to think that it might be true for S2, even though he's way more talented than S2 should get. One, he just played on the Panamanian U20s with the Panamanian U20 captain, whose name is Francisco Narbonne, who you might know as the defensive midfielder for S2. Both of them have a handful of appearances for the Panamanian senior national team. So, normally I would say a U20 player with Portugal 2 experience and who'd racked up 13 goals in one season with Portugal 2 and then got injured wouldn't necessarily have the resume for a USL squad. But because of Francisco Narbonne and Ramon Torres, I think you might see a game-changing USL player for the end of the season, and then it's like, hey, you make our senior team next year and show us.
Uno más, por favor.
The
I will
Berliner
take
Pub
one more
is taking
beverage.
orders right now from us. If you come to the Berliner Pub in 3rd and Main, Renton ahead of the curve.
I hear that they finally fixed their air conditioner. It's
Not
much
only
cooler.
fixed, but expanded.
It's much cooler inside. During the next week or so, during heat waves, maybe come down and enjoy a beverage inside their nice
We'll see
air
everyone here
conditioned-
Thursday. There's going to be like 80 people here on Thursday.
This segment of the show brought to you by the Berliner Pub.
Coming to Tacoma.
So that's Ismail Diaz. I think someday. That'll be a fun one to look at, but it's not going to make a senior team. And if he's on the senior team, he's going to be like the 7th attacking option.
So he'll start next week.
That's this season. Also, I don't think they want to use an international slot on a
good call
20-year-old.
Okay. So we had one more.
About 6 weeks ago, I said there's absolutely no way that Jovan Jones would not be a Sounder in 2018.
Were you wrong?
I was wrong.
on a scale of 1 to wrong.
An 8. And it's literally 1 wrong, 3, 4,
Wrong.
5. Dave was an 8.
I woke up at like 5:45, and I'm like, oh, that's not true. That's not. Oh, that's the actual
Was
team.
it the French one?
There were a couple like rumors types of accounts.
Well, they're the accounts that literally just steal other people's shit and like
No
post it.
credit.
So Kevin Hope had posted something in Slack and was like, "Hey guys, this is happening."
JJ says you rolled a 1.
So
It's funny because it's
he's
true.
like, "Hey guys, this happened," and we're all like, "Nah, that's photoshopped. Nah, that's a rumor. Blah 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 blah." And then someone else posts
and then
the team
Darmstadt
account.
98, and I'm
And
like,
then we're like, "And that's a real thing." And I literally put my phone down and went and took a shower. I was like, I don't want to look at this anymore. Don't want to know.
I gave the. Oh shit! I can't even write. Who's writing? And Jeremiah goes, "I'll get it." It was just 3 words, and they were in Slack, so you can't really see the emotion. But I know the emotion on that one. It's like disappoint. It wasn't just disappointment. I've got to write, which any writer will give you
Right.
at times. It was, oh, this kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Like it's not great for the team.
As Kevin
Damn
points
it.
out, he only serves up the freshest French soccer rumors.
Thanks, Kev. I
So
still
that
owe
was
you a
not
beer.
Awesome. On the other hand, you're like, not everyone can play outside back. Okay. That's one that you look at and you're like, okay, where are those, 5 assists? Where are those going to come from? So
9.
9. Well, I can't keep track anymore. So
He's like
I gave up. at one
tied
point.
for second in the league.
It's crazy. I did see that graphic the other day.
Now, a lot of them are secondary assists. 2 or 3 of them have come from when he was been playing on the wing. His defense, not great. He is a replaceable player, but I still wish that they'd kept him for 250 to 300. I think he's worth that in this league.
Yeah.
But at the same point,
Which is a double, triple on his salary, right? So,
Yeah.
but wouldn't you pay him
close
that?
to quad. And again, I
He's
think
at like
they might have
99
offered it.
or 100
No,
or
like
something.
76.
I thought he was at 99. Was in that last chart.
Maybe 96.
Okay. Anyway. So
Then
yeah.
again, if I'm 26 and I get the opportunity for a German club to pay me to play in Germany,
probably doing it.
Unless you're Jordan Morris.
well, Jordan
Stop
Morris is
talking.
not 26, and at 26,
also
I
true.
think that Jordan Morris takes that deal. I don't know that he takes it at 21. But at 26, Jordan Morris will have been to 2 World Cups. So he
Fair
takes
enough.
that deal.
Do you think that Barcelona is going to go after Jordan Morris, given some pending changes to their team?
Yes.
So Jovan Jones. So we'll have him for a few more months.
He's going to,
I
yeah,
expect him to continue to make the best of it.
When does he leave?
January.
Okay. So we have him through the season.
Yes.
I mean, that's an important thing to realize. This pre-contract thing,
Yeah.
the Bozeman, it's how the Sounders got Blaise Kufo. It's how the Sounders got Alvaro Fernandez. Hold on, there's a couple more. They might have gotten Heido Valdez on that and managed to keep it quiet. But I think those are the two. I mean, they've gotten 2 DPs that I'm 100% certain they signed on Bozeman pre-contracts. And both of them played through their club season. Blaze helped his club win another trophy.
Yep.
Passed over 100 goals during that time. That's what got them to build a statue for him. And then he came here, and the Sounders won a lot of games.
Mark's favorite Sounder.
We've taken advantage of that. They were 9-1-1 in his starts. I wish I could be viewed as a failure and have my team win.
And not even like a little bit of a failure.
91%.
Like total failure.
Like people are like, he's one of the worst DPs. And I'm like, he had 5 goals and they went 9-1-1. If that's your definition of worst,
I'll take 10 of him.
I too want to win 88% of my games.
Why not 89%?
That requires work.
Oh, got it. So, all right.
We
We talked about some
try.
players.
That's five rumors addressed.
And one confirmed thing.
One was a signing since our last show.
So, actual serious question, because I remember this happened with one of the German players in Germany, I thought, that did a pre-contract, and I remember there was a lot of conversation about injuries and like how that works.
Oh, the pre-contract is just an agreement to sign a contract.
That's
it is
all
not
it is,
the
right?
actual
It doesn't
contract.
really mean anything. It's like
It is
Is it like college letter of intent?
It's a little firmer than that, but it's
Okay.
less firm than the actual
Okay. Is it
Is
contract.
it like a pre-approval for a loan for a house?
yeah.
So it's like you can get
more
an
that.
email and they're like, "We think we know who you are.
Yeah.
You're pre-approved."
Yeah.
So
It's like that letter, the letter you get.
I won't say that
You're pre-approved.
it's
for
not
$10,000
100% of pre-contracts that result in the move, but it's more than 95%. So I would, and those 5%.
Max called
are
it a
almost-
promise ring.
Oh Jesus!
And he's right.
It's stronger than a promise
the
ring.
90s emo band.
I do agree with him though
Thank you for the beers.
about Valdez. Like, I enjoy having a player like that on a team. The problem is in a league like this, with the way that salaries and stuff work, you can't always have a bunch of guys like that.
He
But-
performed like a $300,000 player, but he was making 1.3 million.
Right. But you talk to people like players and others in the league about him and like players like him. They're like, nope, you want that guy on your team all the time because he does X, Y, Z, ABC. Kovar to left back with
This
with
is something
Rodriguez
that
coming in.
I've pushed for about 3 years. I don't have the numbers. It's basically impossible to find old USL season positional performances. But my memory of 2014 and 2015 is that Kovar played about a third of his games at left back in the USL then. That was 2 different eras of Sounders USL. The first one, they were called the Sounders Reserves, and they played like a third of their games were within USL, and 2/3 were against MLS teams.
Yeah.
And then the other was the first year of
Salute.
S2.
I'm just going to cheers
He's
with my
breaking
mic,
the equipment.
my mic stand.
So
Everyone.
he has played a little bit of experience there. What I really like is when you look over what his positive traits are. Speedy. We like that as our left back. Endurance. We really like that because the way that fullbacks are used by this team are to range back and forth constantly. He can do that. That left-footed service, it's better on the left than it is the right. And he's a better left foot than right, although he tells me, my right's pretty good too. Let's not underplay it. That's a guy that I really wish was a better interview because he's really smart and really understands the game.
Do you think he or Adrian has a better poker face?
Considering I've known Adrian longer than I've known Aaron.
And this is actually a serious question.
I've seen Adrian smile more frequently in the years since Kovar signed than I have Kovar. Sorry, Aaron. I call it resting Kovar face.
Yeah, Eileen just typed
Yeah,
RKF.
it's starting
Yeah.
to spread. People are like, what's RKF, Dave? It's resting
I gotta tell
Kovar
you,
face.
That one of the photo of him and rolled on at like whatever morning show.
Good Morning
that was,
Seattle.
Oh my gosh, it's so good, and
yes,
it's like
I remember that.
it's like when
That was like
it's like when
was that last year?
But the meme
Yes.
is like when there's nothing to eat in the refrigerator for lunch versus there's leftover pizza.
Right.
And it's so funny. And people have turned it into, when Bay says this versus Bay says come over. It's so good.
Yes.
Some of the most joy I've had was when he came to the SonarFeed tournament, and then I asked him at the beginning of the season, and about it is when he plays FIFA, he puts himself at left wing and Chad Marshall at target
Marshall up top,
forward.
right?
Yes.
I remember he was right
Yes, he
here
was.
inside the window,
Yes.
and I remember having the conversation, and he's like, oh, yeah, I always put Chad Marshall up top. And I'm like, this is awesome and awkward.
Yes.
Carry on.
He won.
It was fantastic.
I'm pretty sure he
So
won that game.
Thursday at practice, I talked to Aaron, but let's not talk about why I talked to Aaron because, well, it was a resting Kovar interview. Let's talk about what he did before the interview, which was literally serve in crosses to Chad Marshall.
That's fantastic.
He took FIFA and put it into reality. And the whole time he's like, Chad! Like, there are other players, and he's like, Chad! The whole time he's like, Harry Shipp was there. Who else was there? Zach Mathers was there. And the whole time Kovar's like, I'm serving the ball to Chad. It was so great.
That's excellent.
I might have video of that. I'll have to track it down.
So,
But I like the idea of him at left back.
yeah.
We've had a left back who doesn't defend very well. Won an MLS Cup with it. Jovan's defense this year is much better than it was last year, but I think that Kovar never lacks for effort, and there are times when Jovan Jones has pulled a Tyrone Mears.
So, better than Remick or the same? Because I think Remick had some moments where you're like, oh, okay. Yes. Keep doing that.
I think why I like it better is because it adds a deep cross that the team lacks right now. And that deep cross from a left back that you can get means that even if you don't have a target forward, your secondary runner, Clint Dempsey or Brad Evans in particular, like you could have, say, Jordan Morris at that at the 6 with Clint and Brad running on to goal, and Kovar can serve in at near or far post. And I hope that he does that. Aaron Kovar's also, I love him as a player, but I also think that he is the player most likely of the homegrown players, the most likely homegrown player to spend a decade with this team. Because
I would agree
he's
with that.
a good MLS player, but not good enough to go to a Euro League where he's going to get paid more than he will enjoy getting paid here and playing in front of his family.
Yeah.
And he's good enough that he won't ever be cut.
He's like a black lab that just kind of stays with you forever and is extremely loyal.
Yeah, he'll never disappoint you. He always has the same face. The Black Labs is happy.
Exactly.
Is this when we ask you about Aaron Kovar licking your face?
Wait, what?
It's a black lab. He just
Does he climb roofs?
Climb roofs. No, he wasn't. That wasn't. That would be.
Okay, just check it.
That was Hercules.
That
climbed roofs.
Great. Awesome.
Sorry.
So anyway, in a year when everyone has a black lab and they all name their dog Kovar.
Right.
Speaking of which, do you remember the?
Yes.
Do you remember the Sounders interviews where they did the interview as the other person? So I think this was, I can't remember if it was pregame or when they did this, but it was like, I think it was Andy Rose and Aaron Kovar, and you do so Aaron Kovar does the interview pretending he's Andy Rose and vice versa.
God, I need to see that again.
It's so good.
Wow.
Those are two of my favorite people.
And Kovar, they joke with him that he goes by Kovar. So it's Andy Rose pretending to be Aaron Kovar, and Aaron Kovar pretending to be Andy Rose, and he doesn't know which accent to use. And it's like Australian, and it's British. It's kind of all over the place. And he makes the joke that, like, he doesn't know, or he's like, he wants to be Australian, but he's not, or whatever. Like, they go all in. And it's so good. Like, some of them are kind of dumb because one of them is super funny, and the other one is like, this is really an
Why am I
embarrassment.
doing this for you?
And they're so into it, the two of them, and they clearly were good friends, or at least good friends on the team, and they had a good time just ragging the shit out of each other doing this interview. Like, look it up. It's well worth watching.
Okay. Oftentimes in interviews, I give the company I'm interviewing with one free idea. I'm going to give Kyle Sheldon, if he's listening or will ever listen to SonarFeed, this one good idea. 2.5 Men. Brad Evans, Chad Marshall, Aaron Kovar.
That would totally work. I'm kind of horrified by this right now. By the way, we find ourselves at home watching the game yelling Dad Marshall at Chad Marshall.
Yes.
Like in real life.
Yeah.
And I can't decide if I should feel good about that.
I had to explain to my aunt and uncle who don't watch soccer or Sounders why I was shouting,
Why do you call him Dad?
It's so random.
Dad goals. I so need him to score again just so I can use the Dad goals hashtag.
So let's talk about the moving forward. So we have a game this week. New place for the Sounders to visit. So new MLS club.
Who's going?
Mark's going to the game in Minneapolis.
Is it
in St. Pete?
Has it stopped snowing
Or
there?
in St. Paul, I mean? Isn't the stadium
It's-
actually...
it's where the Gophers play.
It's where the Gophers play. It's TCF.
Okay.
It's
The new stadium is going to be in St. Paul, though.
I'm not even sure. Anyway, so it's in TCF. It's actually where the Vikings were for a minute. And it's very close to...
It's a
where
college stadium. It'll work.
Where I-35, that bridge fell down a number of
Mark,
years ago.
your wrist says low battery.
So
I know,
Minneapolis
this
is actually
is
a cool town. You're gonna have a good time. Go to Ike's in the airport and or downtown.
Okay.
And get the Bloody Mary. It's called a Weekender, and it has just everything in it. It's just
All
like
of the
50
vegetables.
items.
It's breakfast and a drink.
Yeah.
It is in St. Paul.
Anyway,
Yeah,
so
damn
and
right.
Get a juicy Lucy.
got it right.
Alliance Field. It will hold
I'm
19,400.
rather good with geography.
So
You like maps.
then you'll love
Literally
the fact
stared at maps.
that in Minneapolis.
If you like geography, then you'll
that in
love.
Minneapolis, Uptown is south.
What?
Oh no, that's a thing. You're like, that doesn't make any sense ever. And they're like, yeah, that's where the neighborhood is. Just let it.
Is
be.
it?
What is it up of?
Is it?
No one knows. It's just.
Is
it's
it
like-
up the
it's
hill?
Is it
nicer
elevation?
Is it up a hill, though?
Wise
I don't
higher?
think so.
I'm going to look this up because
Yeah.
there's some fun things that you can do with uptowns.
No one knows. Anyway.
Did
go
you know
there.
that in Oregon City you can ride an elevator from downtown to uptown?
No, but that doesn't really surprise me. In Minneapolis, you can go inside at like the IDS Tower, the tallest building in central downtown, and you cannot go outside.
Yeah,
for
they have
like a
one of the
mile and a
largest
half.
Right, right.
underground
You can
tunnel
Walk almost all
concepts.
the way to Target Center, Target Field. Inside.
Is it all underground or
And,
is it
no,
sky
it's
bridges?
Yeah.
No, they do. They have a huge underground.
Huge-
They have like the
huge?
largest walking underground
Right.
in
It's
the
all
United
sky
States.
bridges, though.
You can do both.
That, and then in St. Paul, there's a place called Moscow on the Hill.
Moscow Mules.
You would do this. So it's Russian food. It's actually very, very good.
Contrast and
So
compare.
instead of like really, really crappy chicken Kiev,
Yeah.
that's just like awkward.
Like you
meat,
got on the
breaded.
cruise ship.
But it's like, no, but it's like a on the bone chicken Kiev. And you can just do random shots of vodka.
Perfect.
Just sit there on their porch.
So Big Dave and I are definitely going there.
I would absolutely.
Random
go there.
shots of vodka.
Like there's
my
a vodka
third album.
menu. There's a vodka menu. Like I think it's the only place I've ever gone to with this much just individual bottles of vodka. So anyway,
Eileen, I'm not going to the Mall of America.
so don't
You
no,
you absolutely
do
should.
not go.
Uh-oh.
Not going to the Mall of America when you're in that area is like not going to the Space Needle or Pike Place Market if you visit Seattle. Or if you visit New York City, not going to Central Park, Empire State Building, One World Trade, or the Statue of Liberty.
I'm not a tourist.
So anyway,
Or the Tacoma Dome.
so let me know what places you want to go to. Which Juicy Lucy? By the way, if you spell it Juicy, it's wrong. Juicy, Juci. Jacob, you should know better.
I just had to check. The Berliner does not have vodka selection. It does have, from the whiskey Scotch family, about 30.
So JJ wants to talk about the All-Star game. I just skipped ahead to the
I
weekend.
actually,
There's some
I
interesting
actually
stuff
like
about the
his
All-Star game.
suggestion, though.
Which?
He says scrap it, make it a
MTV Rock and
mic'd up
Jock?
MLS star celeb hybrid match. So basically, it would be the Zakawanis, but like,
the entire league.
yeah,
I saw someone today say MLS has grown up enough, just make it East-West again.
Yeah.
With it. I think MLS has, to be honest, somewhat accepted that a lot of people will not give a shit about the game.
No.
I do.
No,
I think that's why they're going to continue to do what they're doing right now.
Here's the thing. MLS fans do not give a shit about the All-Star game. It is also going to be the second highest rated game of the year after
Americans
MLS
are dumb.
Cup.
They voted for
And you
Donald
know why?
Trump.
Because MLS is still trying to reach soccer fans that don't like the league.
Sure. Which is why you get in a Real Madrid
And
to play.
I'll be honest, the only mid-season friendly I like is the All-Star game.
I think
because
I've
it's-
watched it one time. Straight through.
It's easy, it's simple, it's casual, and I would just sub out. Like, I would even go East-West and just be like, the West won MLS Cup, so their 11 best start the first half. The East got second, so they start the second half, and 5 more guys get subbed on too. And to me, there are ways to make the All-Star game a little more fun. One of them is also to do some like beach soccer tournaments, to do a skills competition. Even baseball is starting to realize
Mascot
we need
battle.
to do that. Mascot battle would be fun.
By the way, the best feature in that NCAA
Yes.
football game,
I know exactly where you're going.
the EA game, is you can play mascot teams versus one another. And I have to tell you, I am all about Bucky Badger
Yep.
versus Nitro
Nitro.
from UCF.
Oh, yes.
Just the giant
Yes.
knights
Yes.
versus giant badgers. And they're both like 7'2", and you play whole teams of those mascots against one another. But anyway.
You know how the NBA does the celebrity
Slam dunk
game
competition?
No, the celebrity
Oh, yeah.
game where it's 3-on-3 and it's a WNBA, NBA, and a celeb.
Yeah.
Yeah, do that for half-field soccer. Give me 2 NWSL
5-on-5.
players, give me 2 MLS players, and give me 2 celebs.
I think it changes the attention span for it. I think so.
and it
NBA's
needs to be
a-
on the weekend, and do it during the Gold Cup, which is Gold Cup. Do it during that 2-week, because basically every year MLS is going to take a 2-week break during the group stage of something more important than the league. Give me the All-Star game then, and give me the 20 best players not in the league against some team that doesn't have players at the Copa whatever. Give me some skills competitions around it, and give me a reason to pay attention to the league when the Gold Cup's going on, or Copa America Centenario +1 is going on, or the World Cup's going
Whatever,
on.
right.
Have some fun with it, and get me celebs that like the game. Like
Add-
Steve Nash's soccer
Drake?
tournament that is in New York City every year does a better job of attracting peripheral attention than the MLS All-Star game.
Yeah.
So
But-
just
so,
take
like,
it and
and
move
this
it to
is-
the MLS All-Star
But
game.
this is where the NBA does a great job, and I'm a big MLB All-Star Game person.
The home
Love
run derby is good.
It's fantastic.
Even when it
NBA
sucks, it's more interesting than
nails the concept of All-Star Game. It's a an
skills
event.
competition,
It is-
three-point
it's like-
contest,
but it's
rock
not even
concerts,
just their events.
rap.
It's how they who they tried to attract and how they did it, and that is the thing where, like when I worked at MTV, there are artists that will have concerts in and around the All-Star Game intentionally because they know all of their
Overflow.
biggest fans
Yeah.
are going to stuff that
It's
weekend.
event adjacent.
And,
market, yeah.
But they've figured out a way to make it a big event that it isn't just about an exhibition game where teams are going to score 200 points on one another. They made it about the whole thing and the culture and loving basketball.
Maybe this is what I
and the
write
people.
about tonight, making the All-Star game interesting, because
Add 2 more goals.
I don't
have-
want to
so you
change
have full
the
Actually,
It's
like
not
when
the
someone
game
says,
itself.
how high do you want the goal? Adjustable goal. Anyway, I'm
Loading.
So high.
But it's about the events around the events. You'd have to have it in like 7 states then.
Kobe. Sorry.
But there's a lot of fun stuff that you could do around a soccer all-star game that they're not doing right now around peripheral events and that attention that you can get around it. And, FIFA Street is that thing. Demo futsal, all your academy teams are already doing it. Take like the best 2 academy teams and or 5 academy teams and have a futsal tournament at the All-Star game.
Portland would love that.
That FIFA skills competition that they do preseason where they do the target practice and the skill shots and all that. Do that at the freaking All-Star game so people give a damn.
That is one of the best things about the NHL All-Star, which they mess with that every year.
Sorry.
But their skills competition...
Jacob Dylan's playing.
Nice. But their skills competition is like hit these targets and just stuff that like when you watch a game, you're like, oh, that guy could put that puck in that upper corner. And then to watch him do it with like no pressure and they're just like shooting at random targets.
And everybody can put the puck in that upper corner.
And they can all hit all the targets. And you're like, oh, who did it the fastest? That's when you're like, oh my gosh, you're that good. And that's why Crossbar is so much fun. Like those kinds of things that are hokey. And I don't love MLS All-Star Game. And a lot of it for me is about, and I know we've talked about this injury thing or non-injury thing. And a lot of it for me is that. And a lot of it is just, I'm sick of the marketing and some of the things that MLS does. But I'm not the target for that match. So it doesn't really matter. There is a model for it. So you're going to do one headlight tonight?
One headlight.
You got that?
Yeah, he's already singing along. Yeah, there's ways to make the All-Star game more fun. And
Multi-ball.
if you throw
yes.
Multi-ball.
I mean, the 3-point contest has the ball
Every
that's
time
worth
you get
more.
a corner, second ball comes in.
Yeah.
A corner comes from both sides.
Both sides.
Except
yeah.
it's like gold or something. So it's worth more if you sink it.
Wow. Tim Melia's like, I'm good, guys. I'm just going to stay home in Kansas City. By the way, who was it that said he wasn't popular enough? Was it Alexi? Did you
Everyone?
see that?
I mean,
no, on Twitter, somebody did the Ask Alexi, and they were like, why isn't Tim Melia in this game? And he was like, not popular enough. And I
Or
was like,
there's a rule where they all have to play like they're 5-year-olds, and they just kind of all gather around the ball and like do that.
that's when injuries happen, Adam.
But there are ways to make the All-Star game. Put it on the weekend and give teams an actual break rather than have it in midweek. Because, frankly, I'm not flying anywhere for a Wednesday night game in the middle of the week.
Yeah.
But if you're like, hey, everybody's team is going to get a week off, and unless you put it during like the Gold Cup break, if you just do it then, that'd be fun too. But there's a lot of stuff that could make it more fun, and I think baseball and the NBA put forward the best. Hell, the NHL, the game itself is actually like the concept of having like your league against a great team. It's a pretty cool concept.
Well, and that's where, so that was old NHL All-Star Game was. The previous year Stanley Cup champion played an All-Star team of the rest of the league.
Oh,
And it was preseason. And as a concept, it was actually very cool. It was just a different thing. But also people looked at injuries and other stuff very, very differently 80 years ago. There's something to it. And I'm not the target for it, so I get why they do it. It's just like so much of it is just so
love
contrived.
MLS's selection process. I actually enjoy the top 10 fan vote getters, the person that's the video game star, the commissioner saying these two need to be there for marketing reasons, and the head coach being like, well, I need these guys on the team or I'm going to lose.
That can actually play.
Yeah. I actually think you get a fun selection of talent that way, much more so than you do if it's just fans and coach. I enjoy the two marketing selections. You know, I enjoy. They used to have. I don't think they have it anymore, but they once had the rule where the best homegrown player of the year goes. I wish they kind of kept that. They have that event for the homegrown player game. I kind of like that, and I'm glad they do it. But I think there's a lot more fun they could have around the event that they're currently missing out on. Everybody's texting right now, so
I
ask
was
Dave
just checking
questions,
something.
please.
Emily,
Tom's-
you're gonna get me on this, and I'm again 99% sure that it was Kovar, Andy Rose. It's Kovar and someone, and probably Andy Rose. So if you can't find it, then that's probably on me. I'll try and find it for you later. Anyway,
Emily, Dave can't see it. Emily can't find the Andy Rose Kovar.
that's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
So we'll find it and figure that out. Anyway, so MLS All-Star Game on Wednesday. We dabbled on that for a second. We didn't really talk about match time on Saturday in Minneapolis.
What is it?
So it's a 5 p.m.
It's just
Pacific.
5 our time,
5
7
p.m.
there.
Yeah,
Okay.
7 there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thunderstorms.
So
It's
Shocking.
4 hours and 20. 4 days
4
and
days,
20,
20 hours, 1 minute.
420.
4 days and 20 hours.
Huh.
So we should, in theory, expect to have a new player on the Sounders for Saturday's match, maybe?
Yeah, but late sub probably because kind of like Kelvin was out of season. Victor Rodriguez is out of season.
Okay. So Minnesota's still not good. However, didn't they
How
just
are they
beat
doing?
DC,
They beat DC 4-0.
who's also really not good?
Yeah, let's not. I gotta update.
They're not good.
I gotta update. Oh, well, no,
They have
DC is
6
not
wins.
good.
DC is at the very bottom, yes.
So did you see the nothing Grant Wall?
Yes, because he
Minnesota-
predicted they'd have less than
Less
6
than
wins,
6, right? Yeah.
and they got their 6th.
In the Game of Thrones font face,
Oh, was it on a scarf?
Scarf?
I saw that, yes. Yes.
which was pretty fantastic.
Okay, Minnesota is second from, they're above Colorado.
Who is not good? So what do they have, 22
Minnesota's
points?
only 1 point off of the LA Galaxy.
DC has,
And let's see. Oh, okay. They're third from the bottom overall,
they're
though.
from the bottom overall, yeah.
I guess I remembered their run. They had a run where they like won and drew.
Minnesota
games
has
in a row?
2 more games played than Colorado.
Yeah. So
And they're only
they had a
points
couple
above
games
them.
where they looked mediocre.
Sure. That snow
They're
game
not
was fun.
No, that's when they looked awful.
I know.
They looked god awful for
was
like the
interesting.
first month.
Because there was snow.
Well, it's not only that; it's because they benched their best players because they felt like they didn't need to try. Ibarra and Christian Ramirez are MLS quality talents who were studs in the NASL. So, like, I don't need to try. And Adrian Hughes is like, you don't need to play. So that their practice habits resulted in their offense being garbage.
So, don't die.
That was quite the bong hit.
What?
And then they fixed the defense by getting Mark Birch, and then he got hurt. Adrian Heath says the reason Mark Birch is hurt is because the Seattle Sounders practice on turf all the time.
Oh, fuck off.
Whatever.
Adrian Heath is a moron because the Seattle Sounders practice on turf less than 10% of the time.
Thanks for that bacon.
After that gin and
welcome.
tonic, what other questions do we have for me?
So, predictions for Saturday.
I will probably be drunk.
Mark will be drunk.
A prediction usually requires some element of doubt.
Oh. Wow.
Oh.
His mic stand is broken, so he kind of dropped the mic.
Womp womp. So, prediction.
3-1.
Fuck, that's what I was going to say.
You can say
Mark,
it too.
what's your prediction?
3-1.
3-1 who?
Sounders.
Adam?
42-7.
Wait, that's like, I think
6-1?
you're reducing. You're reducing.
I figured he was
just
Dividing by football.
He was just doing a football score because it's in a college football stadium.
Oh, that was my joke. Yeah, that's what I was doing.
The Golden Gophers
Yeah!
have probably beaten someone 4-2-7 at some point. I'm going to
Not
say
in the Big Ten.
I'm going to say yeah.
Rutgers has.
a Big Ten team scored 42 points?
I'm going to say 2-0.
pretty sure Wazoo scored 42
I'm
on
going to
Rutgers.
say 2-0. Clint Dempsey
Ooh.
and Aaron Kovar.
Oh.
Gotta mix it up.
Oh, Aaron Kovar is on brand. He scores and just walks back.
Just walks away, picks up the ball, and hands it back to the other team.
Just walk away, Kovar.
Just like scores, like everybody is running towards him, and he's just walking back to the bench. Like,
What? That actually would be. It would actually look just like that, and we're going to send him that screen grab later tonight, and then he is going to beat the shit out of you. So that's our prediction. So we're coming to the stretch run here. It's August tomorrow. When did that happen?
Holy
My mom's birthday is
shit.
tomorrow, everybody. Say hi, happy birthday to my mom tomorrow.
Happy birthday, Adam's mom.
She is now.
Yeah, I just mentioned her, and all of a sudden she listens.
missed the clap.
She just hears.
By the way, Trump
You're
was
a dick.
joking about the
Emily says
brutality
it's
thing.
Andy Rose and
Because that's an
Hannah.
appropriate thing to joke
There
about.
you go. Okay, sorry, my bad. It was also like 5 years ago, the last time that the Sounders made good videos that I enjoyed. So my memory escapes me.
You're not. So the
who's the
Alexa
Aaron Kovar
video
then?
that they're doing now.
No.
You know, not a big fan of that one with Roman and Nico.
oh, that's the Washington
You
State
gonna let
Lottery.
me-
Oh, is it Washington State Lottery?
is, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Production dollars are happening. So I'm glad that someone found that video. Sorry for misleading you and sending you on this wild Google chase or whatever you'd call it.
Google it, Chase.
Anyway, they're
Good.
funny. Go watch that
Great
series of videos.
googly moogly.
So that one's good. And then find the one with Kovar because it's excellent. It's probably with like Zach Scott. Anyway, do we have anything else we want to talk about tonight other than ask Dave questions? Because he's like, ask me questions. What are you, bread?
Was that how she did? I missed
She
her show.
loves questions.
She liked, yeah. Brett, are you out there tonight? I haven't seen you.
She's packing.
Packing? Okay. For Stanford?
Yes. Okay.
What else is going on?
What just happened?
The Mariners are winning games.
It won't last.
Dude, so Major League Baseball scheduled
I think there's a
Mariners
train.
versus Yankees.
There is a train.
Mariners versus Yankees.
Should we sing the
Mariners
S2 train
versus
song?
Red Sox.
Oh, look.
Mariners versus Mets.
Choo choo.
All during like an epic 2-week period.
Mark's getting texts.
Have you heard my New Who song?
Your New Who?
My phone works again. Woo!
Chugga, 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 chugga. New Who.
Wow.
Chugga, 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 chugga.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we went through some predictions. We talked about
It's
the last
not
couple
mine.
games.
Somebody had it in comments.
We're all feeling pretty good about Sounders Land, I think, right now.
Yeah.
Any other proclamations, obnoxious things y'all would like to say?
Elections tomorrow. Primaries,
Yeah, get
lots
your
of
vote
that
in.
stuff. Get your votes.
If you didn't already,
Do that. If
fill
you,
that out and drop it off.
if you lost your ballot, if you accidentally had it shredded,
If
make
you
sure
vote
you
for
find a place.
Kiarina, you're dead to me.
Mark is pro Key Arena, guys. And by pro Key Arena, I mean pro Key Arena being blown up and made into a large park.
Perfect.
Yeah, we'll put another fountain there. So anyway, thank you for joining us. SonarFeed episode 211.
Are there no questions?
I didn't see any more. So I think we're going to tap out. So we think we have a guest next week. We'll keep y'all
Oh,
posted.
no, no,
on
no.
social media. You
JJ's got it.
question?
Yeah.
Damn it.
Best player of all time for each club. Who is ours
Of all time.
of all time?
Isn't this the thing that
Is it?
James
Yeah,
Woolard
James
was trying
did
to ask
this,
on the
and
Facebooks? I said Obafemi.
We have to
Buttons.
define terms. Best player still playing. Best
Still
player.
playing is what he said.
The question I'm trying to answer, I need to know, is it best player still playing? Is it best player when they were a Sounder? Or best player overall talent level? Entire career. Because those are different.
Pick one.
Well, I'm waiting for the audio to
My
catch up
answer
so
is the
that he
guy
can
that
reply.
kicked the other guy in the nuts with 2.
Sergio Mata.
That's it.
Yeah.
There you go. He wins. Shut up.
Or we were talking about Nico, who used only
Oh,
one
who-
foot
yeah,
to kick
well-
the guy
Who
in
did the
30s.
Own the
two-footed
two.
kick into the Cadbury eggs?
Wow.
Own the 2.
He owned both the twos.
Right.
By the way, Larry's going to take a shower now.
Great.
So I think that, when you ask these best ever kind of questions, defining the terms are very important.
Don't
'Cause
leave us hanging.
I'm going to go to the restroom.
I'm gonna stall. No. So like when you the best player's performance in a single year with the Sounders,
Fade
I'm gonna
to
go
black.
Ozzie Alonso when he won the best 11,
Okay.
which was I think 2011. His season that year was incredible. Defensive mids don't get that recognition. Best player that was single season. Best player while they were a Sounder is Obafemi Martins. Might be the best player still playing that was a Sounder. But the best player that was a Sounder
That
based off of
At
their
all.
entire career
At all.
that happened to be a Sounder. Kind of like Jerry Rice might be the best player that was a Seattle Seahawk, even though he was only here for half a
Sure.
season. Was Freddie Junberg. We sometimes forget that Freddie Junberg was Zlatan before Zlatan. He was the poor man's David Beckham. Like he
Okay.
did Calvin Klein ads.
So
Okay,
do I.
so this is based
But what
off
was the question?
this is based off an article in the USA Today. Who, by the way,
The McPaper.
their website
You
is
can pick it up at the
trash.
Holiday
It was on
Inn.
USA Today. Every MLS team's. Go ahead.
Yeah. So it's an attempt to name each Major League Soccer franchise's greatest ever player. In this context, the greatest player does not have to be the player with the most talent or highest paid or even most decorated. Sometimes it's the most prominent, important, or celebrated player a franchise has had.
Just general.
Sometimes it's the first player you think of when you hear a team name.
All right, I have a
So
3-player short
It's
list.
they
quickly.
picked Ozzy.
Ozzie Alonso, Freddie
Is that
Montero,
what-
Clint Dempsey.
They
Those
picked
are my 3
Ozzie.
choices.
Okay.
I could make a compelling argument for you.
honorable mentions are Dempsey, Evans, Fry, Keller, Lodero, Martins, Montero. So completely ignoring any of pre-MLS.
And then Tom said, "No."
Yeah.
Did we define the question?
Yeah,
Yes. It's from an article in
Multiple
USA Today.
I go. I couldn't. I mean, I like Steph. Steph's a great person, and he did good things, particularly last year. But I would never think of
No.
Stephen Fry as like, oh my goodness, he defined the Sounders.
Yeah, but first player you think of when you hear a team name?
Sometimes.
It could be that.
Ozzie, Montero,
it's basically
Dempsey.
like painting
maybe
with
Keller.
the broadest brush possible.
Yeah, but I think the trick is if you ask this question...
Is it a
and
paint
you're-
roller?
But if you ask this question and you're like a serious Sounders fan or like a hardcore soccer fan, you might have a different answer than
Right.
if you like soccer and are aware of players. So like I could do this for sports that I might like one team, but I don't really care about everybody else.
Yeah,
But like I could name.
I
a
think their
player
list
from
is
just
way
about
too
every
broad.
Team ever in baseball, you know, like the name that comes to you when you like if you said
Milwaukee
that about
Brewers.
Paul Molitor.
Detroit Tigers.
That's a tough one. I'm gonna say,
Cecil Fielder,
Yeah.
yeah, probably.
because we're old,
I might take,
but
Kirk
not old
Gibson,
enough.
but
Trammell.
It's probably Trammell.
Oh, Mike Trammell,
Really?
yeah.
Allen.
Allen. Oh.
Um,
Oh.
now, again, we're gonna end up in this weird bucket where if you're this old, you pick players from the '80s, but
Yeah.
But I think you can do this, and it's a different thing than if you love the team
From
and
the
you name your
outside
player.
and then from the
Yeah,
inside, yeah.
Because like, you know, who's the most important player to ever be on the Yankees? And I bet you 80% of people might say Mickey Mantle.
Yeah.
And there's probably 20 other players who, in theory, could also be that player. Because again, it depends on what kind of fan you are of the game.
I'm biased on that one. I went to
JB
high
here.
school with the
Tino.
granddaughter of Lou Gehrig.
Yeah.
Lou Gehrig's a valid answer for a Yankee.
I'm related to Mickey Mantle,
I
mean-
would say Joe DiMaggio.
so
And I'm a
therefore
Yankees fan.
Mickey Mantle.
Brett's
But
a
I think
little
he set the
closer
standard
related.
for
She
what
is a lot
center
closer
fielder is
related
Ruth.
in
directly.
baseball. But right,
Mariano.
but, like, and again,
Yeah.
Ruth,
What was his
reason-
nickname?
Babe.
No, Mariano.
I don't think
No, Babe's
Mo.
nickname wasn't Mariano.
Mariano Rivera.
Yeah, didn't he have a nickname?
So we're talking baseball on Sonar.
So anyway, so who did you
Talking
pick here?
Ozzy.
when we got the definition, I'm like,
Talk
well,
about
it's going to either be
baseball.
Ozzy, Montero, or Clint.
I think right now, like if you're
And the USA Today did Ozzy,
Sandman.
which is
'Cause
fine.
they always played
Well,
Enter
no, they played
Sandman.
Enter Sandman. It's not really his nickname, but okay.
Ozzy's a fine choice whether you're in or out. Like,
Is Brett signed in as consolation?
no, that's Sarah.
I would say it's a really weird one because I think if you look at it from the outside, I think you would say
Hi, Dave's Gin and
I
Tonic.
think people would say
Hello,
Casey
Sarah.
Keller. I do. I think the average person who's not a hardcore Sounders fan, like from the outside, who's paid attention to like imagery and like when they think of a team, what's the first name that comes to mind? If like a current fan,
They're not
maybe,
looking at stat sheets. They're not.
but like
they're not
somebody
thinking that.
like
They're looking at.
is just thinking
the
about
name.
a name who comes to mind for them. I think you have a lot of people that say Casey Keller.
Right. It's like Mariners. You would say just who?
I'm not saying I'm picking
Griffey,
Casey Keller.
Ichiro. Those would be the names.
If I were to have to choose right now, it's Ozzie Alonso.
I don't know anything about the Mariners.
It's
They
Ken
play in
Griffey Jr.
Safeco Field.
I know that much. Yes.
No, you
Or
could do
think of it,
Randy
See?
and Ichiro as well.
I would still go Junior.
I'd pick Junior.
I think
I think again, like that was my Joe DiMaggio comment. Like redefine.
some of them are
something.
generational.
Absolutely.
To like,
Right.
if you're under 30, you don't know Ken Griffey Jr. as a player that was any good,
See,
unless you bought Ken Griffey Jr. baseball
Yeah.
and loved hitting 99 home runs and trying to figure out why you couldn't get the 100th home run.
Yeah. See, I for some reason generational just started thinking about who were the trailblazers that I could think of, and it was like
Portland, they said Valeri,
Duckworth.
and Vancouver picked
Big.
Ostead.
I'm okay with either of those. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think for me, Vancouver would be Tybert
Yeah, Russell.
because he's Canadian soccer Jesus.
Interesting.
But they're
That
kind
sounds
of
like the name of your
Valeri's
first
Terribly
album.
surprised at the Valeri thing. I think that makes
MVP
sense.
caliber player,
Yeah.
well known within the community. Like,
Stephen Fry regretted that he had to say that he was a nice guy,
yeah, I mean,
which might be one of the better tweets in a long time.
Diego and Darlington are two of the best people in sports. It makes it very difficult until they enter the field. Then I have an easy time remedying against them. But
Yeah.
Valeri
By
and
the way,
Nagby,
Did you see
are
the
amazing
amazing
people.
boots he had on yesterday, Saturday?
No.
So they're like if you took a NFL or like NHL ref and then took the stripes and compressed them really, really tight and just wrapped them in random order like a ribbon all the way around the boots.
Was it like Razzle
That's what
Dazzle?
they look. No, it's just black and white stripes, but in like no particular structure or order. They were super hot. So Boots Kyle would really like those.
Boots Kyle.
We miss Boots Kyle.
Yeah.
JJ's running through these.
Future Kyle.
Rimondo. Philly is Latu. The Galaxy is Landon.
yes.
This is actually a fun exercise.
San Jose's Wando.
And it's
Colorado
probably not close.
is Mastroni.
Thought it was Chris Henderson.
RSL is. I got
Vermont.
3. I could say Beckerman.
Beckerman.
I could say Javi Morales too.
Okay. So here's a good one for you. Metro's Red Bulls.
Thierry Henry.
Right?
Yeah. Do the fire. Do the fire.
Fire.
Chicago Fire.
The Fire.
Catamount Blanco.
It's not close. I think. SKC.
They just traded him. Probably Dom.
You think all time KC?
Yeah.
Okay.
More than Zuzi, more than Beasler.
How about DC?
Mario Echeverri. Because
How about
you
Tampa
have to
Bay
go back
Mutiny?
a long time. Oh, Carlos Valderrama.
When it's not close.
Sorry, Chris Henderson, when you're listening to this tomorrow.
Echeverri. That's a good call.
Yeah.
Revs.
Taylor.
Okay.
Shalry is kind of close. But his
This is the point in
off
the
camera,
podcast or whatever.
off camera
where I have
helps
no idea
Taylor
what people
so
are
much
talking
more.
about.
Houston Dynamo.
I don't know things.
I'll say it and you'll be like, oh, yeah.
Like actual Houston Dynamo. That's a weird one because you have to think about people that were not on the San Jose team.
Brad Davis.
Probably.
But it's so weird to have.
They could just say names.
It
and
is
I
weird.
wouldn't know.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, Brad Davis is your defining player.
Columbus.
They gave it to Davis.
Bake McBride.
Not Christopher.
Not Christopher Columbus. He's making a.
JJ says Brian Ching.
Brian Ching for.
Houston. They gave Red Bulls to Dax.
You had like one of the best players in the world, the guy who's so.
I would have
Gillette
picked
razors.
Dax was
I
one
would
of
have
my
picked
favorite
Tony
characters
Miola
on,
before I picked
Deep
Dax
Space
McCarty.
Nine.
Yeah, I think Dax is. You paid attention the last 4 years.
But that's what it feels like. This might be a little bit more of.
Who didn't we get yet? Miami. This is weird because I did like the first 4 years of MLS and then didn't care for a long time, but I can't do a Miami.
Who do we miss? We got Chicago. We
Montreal.
got- I mean,
Nacho Piatti.
I was going to say Piatti.
Or did he?
No.
But Drogba kind of did them so bad, I don't want to reward him with
Yeah.
that. TFC. See, this is a interesting one because I go Danny Dickiow.
Not Dan Dickow?
different player.
Atlanta.
Stop talking.
Minnesota.
And he's not the best player there, but during their multiple years of ineptitude and scoring the first goal.
Did you do Columbus?
Yeah, Brian McBride, hands down. Or, well, Brad Friedel. Justin Miram.
Did you do Philadelphia? Or New England?
We did
New
the
England
rest.
we did.
Okay.
TT. Yeah. Philly, we
New
did
England
not
has
pick.
2 names, and it's only those 2 names. It's not even Clint.
He picked Alexi Lawless.
Did you do Philadelphia?
We didn't do
We did.
Philly.
They say Letou.
Letou is valid, but I might go Freddie Adu because he's a better symbol of why they've failed. Because Philly bringing him back for 2 years as a DP is a perfect example of why the Philadelphia Union are
Phillies
a trash organization.
Is one that I would actually say I'm not sure I could tell you one that I felt good about.
Right?
I mean,
I felt
Letou
like I
did
would be
play
filling
there twice, so
but I feel like I would be checking the box as opposed to like I really have
Like-
somebody that I'm like, oh my gosh.
most teams are like their second and third guy are still like league defining.
Yeah. Like
And
Dallas.
Wow, they're super dark.
I'm going to go Sappy first. I'm going to go Bobby Ryan, the former player that passed away while working.
Oh yeah. Is that what they said?
Did you guys do Colorado or
They
DC?
said Jason Kreis.
That's where he had most of his goals.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's a good call. DC, I did Mario Echeverri.
Okay.
They had this South American connection in the early era when they were they won 6 trophies in 5 years. Like they were dynastic. Colorado, I said Pablo Mastroianni.
Okay.
New
I think
England?
you got everybody then.
TT.
Yeah.
Taylor
you got everybody.
Charlie.
They
That's
said.
it.
They said Shaloto.
For Columbus
Yeah.
over Brian McBride.
Yeah, no.
But
Now,
that
it's
again
funny.
is one where I think they
Scalotto won the title there.
ran. Yeah.
Brian McBride used it as a launching point to go to Fulham.
We're still missing teams.
I think you got them all.
Did we?
Yeah.
Chivas.
Feels like we missed.
I
Cheers.
didn't do Chivas,
All right.
and I didn't do Miami.
You did Toronto, Chicago,
Chivas
NYCFC?
is
Bofo.
Sporting KC. You did Red Bulls.
Robot.
For some reason, you're not going to do Atlanta. I don't
have
know
a-
why you
I
won't
have
do
a pick
Atlanta.
for- I have
Eric
a
Torres.
no.
No, I have a pick for Chivas.
Hit me,
The goalkeeper.
Oh, Danny Kennedy.
Dan
Dan
Kennedy.
Kennedy.
That's who I'd pick.
Yeah.
I felt so
That poor
bad
guy.
for that guy.
That poor guy.
Remember when they had Juan Pablo Angel for like
Yeah.
a hot minute?
This is a good one there, JJ. Good call, like delaying me attempting to be done with the show because I thought we were done.
But yeah,
This is a good
I think you've done
conversation.
everybody. You won't do Atlanta for some reason. FC Dallas, Houston, Columbus, Portland, Seattle,
Atlanta
Vancouver.
Silverbacks?
Did you do Orlando?
Orlando's Kyle Larin,
San Jose?
even more than Kaká. San Jose was Wando.
Wando.
Okay.
Wando.
You did New England, Philadelphia, RSL, Montreal, LA.
We didn't do Minnesota, and I'm gonna
You
go
won't- why
Who's
won't
the
Minnesota?
kid that they had brought from USL?
Ibarra. Oh, no.
or Christian Ramirez.
Ramirez. Yeah.
Yeah. From
Those were the two,
NSL. Yeah.
and they're like the dynamic duo. They're actually their nicknames are Batman and Superman.
Perfect.
They're the Justice League.
Yeah.
Nice. And then
It's just so good.
Colorado and DC. You've done
Wait,
you've
yeah.
done them all. You've done them all.
How about NYCFC?
Via.
Oh my
Javi
God!
Villa.
That picture.
And it's not close.
that picture of
Pirlo ducking
Pirlo
on the wall.
ducking. Yeah.
Do you know there's probably 500 photos like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. His
Um,
book's really good, by the way. Read it.
I can't read.
There's an audiobook.
Okay.
All right, now let's do NWSL.
Kim Little, Jess Fishlock.
See, yeah, you just
Pino.
do NWSL, and that's it's U.S. Women's National Team.
Heath.
Yeah,
Carly.
yeah.
Yeah, the only one where I wouldn't go with a U.S. national team player is basically Seattle.
Is that because you're more familiar, or
Well, no, because outside of Seattle, their best player on the team for every other team has been their national team player. But in Seattle, they had the two best
They had
players
Kim and yeah,
in the world that
Right.
didn't play for a
their
World
national
Cup team.
teams. Right.
Okay, so
Is my computer gonna explode if I search this?
Probably.
Mark's trying to type in Pirlo ducking, and he wants to know how many things are going to come up. All right, so ready? If you could pick 3 Sounders, any Sounders from ever,
From 1974 on.
any point
Okay.
that you would want right now in their prime, who would they be?
To do what?
To hang out with you at
Time
the Berlin-
travel into the
All right, let's
current
just make it
squad
one. So if you could sign any Sounder
from their best year.
from their best year or 3 year or whatever you want to call it,
And put
right
him on
now
this
to be on
team?
the team for the rest of the season, who would it be? And this is one of those times where picking the best goal scorer isn't always the best decision.
No,
So-
Given the current team.
Correct.
Okay.
2010 Steve Zakuani. Left wing capable of doing 10 goals and 10 assists.
Mark, any Sounder ever? Are you so excited about this? Mark, who would you pick? Any Sounder ever, best year to join the team for the rest of the season? Max picks Chad Barrett, and Chad Barrett.
2011 Mike Facito.
Should have known.
That'd be to hang out with.
Sergio Moda.
No, their record with 2011 Mike Facito is really fucking good.
Uh,
You want a Nelson Valdez type player, but not at Nelson Valdez prices. That's what Mike Facito did.
2016 Nicholas Lodero.
Well, he has 2017 Nico Ladero as well.
So like on the same
Yeah.
team, 2 Laderos.
Yeah.
So we're video games.
2 Laderos.
Yeah.
2 Laderos ran over an
Dave
old
took
lady
all
at
my
the county
answers.
fair.
You're such a fipper.
Dave took all my answers.
You were
You know
going
who
with
else would be fun?
2011 Mike Facito.
Yep, yep.
2009 Leo Gonzalez. When Leo was a get forward
So
left back.
I was gonna say Jimmy Traore. Partially because I think there may be a center back injury that
You know what my favorite
Crimps
tweet
our
ever
style.
was the gif of him running, and it was just choo choo motherfucker.
Choo choo.
Jose.
1982 Schmetzer.
82 Schmetzer. I hope he's watching right now because he's like, "Fuck you guys! Why did I have to come up in the chat?" 82 Schmetzer. I'll trade you
Hey,
an
Brian.
82 Schmetzer for a what are we trying to do? Oh, 2010 Deuce. Nice.
Deuce didn't play for the Sounders in 2010.
Yeah, I know. But that's what John Worthington.
How about Brian King's year?
But
Wow.
but if,
When he
if
had
you're
the
once a
20
sounder,
USL
always
goal?
a sounder, that means that goes back retro.
No,
as
that's
well,
not
right?
how it works.
I think that's what John's saying.
You can't get the player's best year as a Sounder and then use a
No,
non-Sounder
best
year.
year, and then he was a sounder.
It's not the way language works.
We're talking.
You
Okay,
just-
you realize we're talking fantasy.
Kind of an expert on that.
Is this like Mariah Carey, Old Dirty Bastard levels of fantasy? Or like, where are we at? Me and Mariah go back like babies and pacifiers. Dave is just dumbfounded right now. It's amazing. How's your microphone that needs Viagra to stay up? It is.
It sucks when I
Microphone.
get Mark's microphone.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh.
I think we should get him a blue drink.
Max is sticking. We actually should. Max is sticking with Chad Barrett. Anyway, so
John's not backing down.
So that was my random question. Do we have any other questions?
I mean,
from the crew.
if we're going
or
to take
from
a
the crew
year,
here?
a player's best year, why not get Freddie Junberg from the Invincibles? That was a better year than Clint had in 2010.
Also, Hulk Hogan used to be really good at wrestling. Let's bring him in.
Speaking of Arsenal,
Wrestling.
did you see the 2 young women at the front of the line for Men in Blazers, and they were at the front of the queue, like in the bike gate, and Men in Blazers quote tweeted it with like Arsenal won something, and they were in Arsenal gear.
Because they were in the front of the
It
line.
was so there's no one else there. They were the first 2 people there. And Men in Blazers is just like Arsenal won something, and I was just like,
that
like I should have just closed my computer and walked away. In that
that might have been the funniest thing about that whole show.
Wow,
Their live show is really good.
it was really
Really, because everything else is awful.
dude. Their live show was fantastic.
I say this as somebody blocked by Men in Blazers
Wow.
for calling them
Like they
What they are.
lots of names. Yeah.
On the
Sir
telephone?
Mix-a-Lot for multiple hours in Seattle, and then Sir Mix-a-Lot literally walked on stage to close the show, and everyone was still surprised.
They're like,
I don't understand how.
the
that
only
happened.
way this show could be better is if Sir Mix-a-Lot brought the trophy on stage. They say in like the first minute and reference that 7 or 8 more times during their show.
And I was like, that's never going to happen. That happened.
That happened.
Yeah, that was fascinating.
It was so good.
Sorry,
and
Emily.
I despise their Twitter presence.
Yeah.
And
And I think that's why, is their Twitter presence, I'm just like, oh, fuck off.
I didn't like their convention.
They did
Is what got me banned.
A camouflage jacket.
It was pretty good. They did ask
and then they
Megan
couldn't
Rapinoe
find him
if she was
afterwards.
going to run for president.
Just
she
his
said
torso.
yes.
Just his torso was gone. They saw his legs.
Okay.
It was easy to.
Pino was probably the best guest.
As always.
Well,
She's fantastic.
Mitzi. Is that
We should get
Jordan's
Pino on the
Hermes
show.
Mountain Dog?
Minnie.
Minnie.
We should get Pino on the show.
Make it so, number one.
I'm the producer. I'm number 2.
Hold on. Stall a few more minutes.
I'm going to...
What
do you wanna talk
gonna,
about?
Are you going to text Megan?
No, just keep stalling.
So-
Stalling.
Let's not talk about stalling either.
Putin,
Let's move on.
Putin, Putin.
Let's just move on here. So, anyway.
Medvedev?
Just stop.
So, politics, huh?
I don't even know what to say.
Do you need to mooch some money tonight?
That was the best joke. You just trumped all the other jokes.
This shit just went downhill so fast.
Do you remember the time that the producers were both fired, but we couldn't fire them because they're the producers?
I can't do it. I
And
can
it's
do it
my
like
computer?
twice a
Yeah,
year,
seriously.
or I'll kill
It's
people.
my computer.
No one cares, dude. Don't act like we could not figure out your password. Okay, let's
No.
just be clear.
No, it just
It's
would
just
have to
Ivanka
be here.
Trump,
Shave
actually.
balls.
Zing.
No, Marcus Camp is
Dude, I
not
love
here.
watching
Kits.
that we're
Hey,
derailing
somebody's talking
and
about
watching
kits.
people slowly drop off. The
Somebody's
watching
talking
house.
about kits. What? 2 new kits
2
next
new kits
year?
next season, only 2. Correct.
No.
It's 2
Whoa.
kits.
No, there's one.
No, 1 new kit. We're only going to have. 2
Yeah,
kits.
Pacific Blue's dropping entirely.
Yeah.
There'll be a new Rave Green, and the Heritage White will be
Because
it.
there's all sorts of other variations you can come up with for the Rave Green. It's Rave Green with like.
So,
No, they've-
so you're saying there's no third kit?
Correct. So Seattle Sounders are the last MLS team to have a third kit until Adidas realizes they can make money off of certain teams, which probably means the Seattle Sounders will be one of the first teams to have the reemergence of third kits. But there'll be at least a 2-year gap because that's basically what it takes.
So, do you think that there's going to be any just like dumb MLS signing before the window closes? Just like someone we haven't even thought of yet.
For us or
No.
in general?
In general.
Yeah, there'll be a splash,
Like somebody, right?
like marketable type splash. Yeah.
Someone
Messi.
we know. Yeah, not
No.
like. It's like, oh, Neymar is out? Me too. I'm going to. Where?
Minnesota!
DC's getting a new stadium.
Sorry, Mark.
By the way, DC is being sold. What a
Conflicting
troll job.
reports.
That is a troll job.
New York Times says they're being sold. Washington Post said, no, we want to bring in more money. We're just expanding our ownership group. I can understand how a reporter, if the New York Times was working off a single source, it's an understandable mistake to, like, you can hear they're looking for new owners and think that means they're getting sold when in fact they're only looking to
They want to
add.
have as many owners as LAFC.
No, they only have 2 right now, and they're
So they need like
because they bought out their third one.
26 more.
They bought out a third one last year about this time, and they're probably looking at getting somebody with his level of capital back involved.
Okay.
Remember, they're spending about $200 million of their own money on the stadium grounds.
At Buzzard's Point.
It's going to be great. Good location.
It looks like it's going to be a cool stadium.
JJ suggested that LAFC is going to sign Donovan.
No. He is finally done. Remember, this is a guy who didn't even play in the Zakuani and Friends. Now, he had a reasonable excuse for that. His second child was born like a week and a half prior. But I think Landon's finally done.
He was
Do you think
afraid
he
of
can't
facing Marshawn Lynch.
and there is, there's an MLS rule that you can't come out of retirement unless you play in the Zakuani and Friends.
Oh.
Gooch, Donovan.
Well, there you go. There you go.
And let's be honest, Eddie, if they allowed him, would still be playing.
Rule 18.1b.
So now that we're still stalling,
answer.
Emily has a question. Do you think anyone from the allocation list gets signed this year?
Yes. Your short list is Ruben Rubio. And
is he related to Ricky Rubio?
no, and I kind of want the Sounders to sign him mainly because the Timbers wanted him as a homegrown player, and he declined them. And so I would kind of like, he's young and totally doesn't fit what we need, but it would be a nice little FU.
Well, and again, at this point in the year,
Aaron Johansson, the former
where is
Werder Bremen guy that wasn't healthy, which is why they wanted Jordan Morris. He was really close to signing with a couple MLS teams in the past. He overvalued himself, and I think that now he understands he's only about a $2 million player.
Did he fall off a little bit?
He spent most of the year out injured.
Yeah.
And so...
Oh, so like my pub league career.
He's one that I would look at, and Terrence Boyd, who oddly enough is going to play with Jovan Jones next year unless Boyd moves.
Yeah. Emily says it's Rubio Ruben.
Rubio.
Kitty.
Damn it.
I
failed.
Yeah, sorry. I got the guy who was an extra in The Fifth Element wrong.
Max pointed out that Mark's pub league career was just bad.
It's not my fault that my fellow players gave me shitty service.
Okay.
I don't think I'm going to get our answer. I don't think we can stall long enough.
Okay. We're not... I mean, we could probably
stall
long
I'm
enough.
still staring at you.
That's cool. If you were to walk all along the watchtower...
I would not be wearing Madras shorts.
Would you be wearing Madras shorts, a white T-shirt, a USA flag bandana under a blue trucker hat?
Okay.
You would. So...
I'm glad we're all equally impressed by the All Along the Watchtower.
I don't even know what to say right now. Okay, so we may or may not have a guest next week, but when we do have the guest next week, it's going to be super awesome.
When we announce it, you'll make plans.
Yeah, you're
It's not locked yet?
Soft lock.
Okay.
Yeah, soft lock.
We're working on 2 weeks. It's the next week or the week after.
Okay. So next week...
I want next week because the week after, I kind of want to be here for it, and the week after, I'm probably doing something with my wife. So
nice. Okay.
I'm going to leave that one alone.
Are we gonna tap out here?
Sure.
All right.
Do we have an outro?
Because, well, it's certainly not that.
We could just turn both of the cameras to the All Along the Watchtower guy.
Please no.
We could do that, but we're not going to.
Boost the gain.
So thank you, everybody, for joining us, for staying with us an extra 40-ish minutes, which was great.
This is almost as long as the Damon Stewart show.
Almost, but not at all. And we'll see you next Monday at 7:30-ish. Mark's phone will be working properly because he dropped it in a
hot tub
jacuzzi or something over the weekend. By the way, he got a text
as
while we
you
were
do
sitting here that said, "You should have put it in the waterproof case."
It was.
Shit. Anyway, so thank you for joining us tonight. We will be back next Monday. Ugo should be back from his civic duty. Again, we didn't talk about it earlier, but shouts to Ugo for going to the Burien Town Hall to fight for Sanctuary City status. Pretty big deal that you guys have heard that he's been super passionate about. So we expect to see Ugo next Monday, which is awesome. Dave is like just rapt attention towards his texts right now. And again, Berliner AC works, so if you need to cool off the next 3, 4, 5, 6 days...
If you're behind the curve, come to Renton. You'll get ahead of the curve.
Yeah, so if you want to watch the Sounders match on Saturday and stay cool, Berliner.
Ooh.
On that note, we out.
We're out. Good night, everybody.
Goodbye, y'all.
Good night, Dave.
I'll turn the mic back on.
Good night, Dave.
Night, y'all.
Good night, Mark.
Good night, Tom.
Good night, John Boy.